What's good? What's good? What's good? I made a video a minute ago. This is gonna be a transition to this, but I should have saw something. So let's pretend with that. I just saw a consciously video where he's debating like a MAGA supporter, and things just kind of derail and go left. And I have a lot of different perspectives and ideas and views about this. I just spent like 35 minutes having like this one-sided conversation. So I'm talking to someone who didn't watch the video. So hopefully this won't take as long now that I got my ideas out, now that I got to bounce a little these viewpoints. I don't know if you saw the consciously video as well, so I'll link it below because I really hate when people like film someone else's content and shit. What's good?
Did you start recording?
Yes. What you need?
Hello? Hello?
I say yes. What do you need?
Never mind. Never mind. I was gonna put the boxes in the garage and get something to drink, but I'll just go through the front door and I'll leave the boxes for later.
That'd be perfect.
Alright. Sorry.
I'll talk to you soon. Alright. Y'all important to me, but she's more important to me. God forbid something happened. I mean, I'd be ready. I don't want to say like, yeah, I was recording a fucking video, so I'll be. I could have probably just started the show over too, but I don't think it really fucking matter. Plus, it gives you more context to my life, more context to who I am as a person, so that the things that I say, you got a different perspective and a different dynamic on. Because I'm not JD Vance, and I'm gonna close League of Legends in the background real quick because I just hear like this swirling white vortex in my ear that's super annoying. Now we can focus. So it's a consciously video with him and a Trump supporter, a black conservative, black Trump supporter. And this conversation, I'm going to predominantly look at the black Trump supporter because I felt like he was a very interesting case study. And maybe I'm not using that word perfectly well, but while I was watching this video, I was studying the fuck out of this guy. And it reminded me of W.E. Du Bois' Two Souls of a Black Man, Two Souls of Black Folk. And the internal battle that this black conservative is facing in himself. On the internet, it's worldwide. So it's international community. Everybody can defend here, but the internet is not real. The internet is not your physical life, not your physical presence. And when you are a black man living in these all white spaces, or in his case, you are a black man who's barely passing for white, and the structure of white supremacy is what gives you your position. Oh, cool. And the structure of white supremacy gives you this position. The idea of white people being better than other people gives you this position. So you, as that black light-skinned person, you as this black mixed biracial person, have more incentive than even white people to say that white supremacy doesn't exist. Because the white man eventually is going to enter all black space. And he's oh, no, 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 we're all equal. I don't see color. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, you're way bigger than I am. Oh, I don't see color. I don't, no, no, no. Maybe behind closed doors, he's a hardcore racist like Joe Biden. But in front of your face, he'll act as egalitarian and peace-loving and hippie as he needs to be to get some black pussy. Or to get black people to work for him, whatever the hell it is, or to get a job from a black person. It's like the dynamic is very different because when you're a white person, you might face some sense of financial strife, or you might face some sense of emotional ridicule for your racist viewpoints and beliefs. But you might have to pay for your life as a black person if you're honest. You might have to pay with your full everything for a black person if you tell the truth, because you're going to tell the actual truth. And these people live an absolute lie. And they have to live a lie. They have to live a delusion. They have to live a dream Because if they did actually believe in racism and they had to wake up every morning on go, they live in all white neighborhoods. They live in predominantly white spaces. They work at predominantly white jobs. If they really did believe in racism, if they put their whole heart and soul into believing in institutional structural racism, how would they function? How would they move? How would they operate with their family and operate within the workspace? How would they operate in their neighborhood versus operate inside their house? How would these people function? Because you're dealing with a Japanese, a Chinese, a black, an Indian, an Arab person inside of an all white space, a predominantly white space, that the existence of these other people are there, but they still only make up for about 5 to 13% of the overall population of the entire country. And they only account for about 1 to 2%, 1 to 2 people within the entire company. Maybe, 50% of the entire, like, if you put all the non-white people together, there might be 50%. But individually, they are completely different people and completely different cultures. So there is no sense of unity there. My point for this is that one of the points Conscious Lee makes is that, you might get bit by a crocodile, you might get bit by a polar bear, but you're more likely to get bit by a dog. Because this dog is probably closer to you. It probably might be your pet, someone else's pet. The people own dogs all the fucking time. There's stray dogs walking around. Like, dogs are more prevalent in your society. Trying to explain this idea of prevalence and this idea of probability and most likely and, disproportionality to this other grown ass black adult who has more than likely, he's a big ass black dude. He's more than likely had to deal with racism most of his life. Probably had to deal with racist jokes most of his life. Probably still fucking does to insecure white men half his fucking size. And because he can't just shove his foot up their ass, because this is how they get you, they'll provoke you into violence, and then you have to take accountability for your actions, but they don't have to take accountability for what they said to you. He's now going to go to prison. He's now going to get killed. He's now going to be humiliated or lose his job because he hit a white guy, even to this very day. That's a fact in reality. When Kyle Rittenhouse was on trial, everyone was like, oh, this is a little white boy. He's not going to go to jail. And they were right. He didn't. Due to racist white supremacy. Needless to say, a kid half his age had a toy gun in a park and he got shot on the spot. You're dealing with a level of cognitive dissonance and schizophrenia that is so far removed from a human sanity, that is so far removed from any sense of logic, rationality, or philosophy. It's just pure evil. But you have so many people who live around these people. They live in all right neighborhoods. They might live in a trailer park. They might live in a suburb, that they're constantly subjected to the bullshit of these people to the point in which they are perpetually living inside of the sunken state. They only live for white validation. And their love for white people completely outweighs the hatred that white people have for non-white people, or the hatred that white people have for each other. It's like a Christ-like love of seeing the better side and seeing the redemptive quality, because you have to. Because after they get done killing this guy, you still have to live on earth with these people. After Derek Chauvin gets done kneeling on George Floyd's neck, and killing this guy and murdering this guy in front of everybody, you still have to live with the fact that these police officers, maybe not him specifically, the rest of the police force that trained Derek Chauvin are still out and about doing their thing. The people that supported Derek Chauvin and funded Derek Chauvin are still out and about doing their thing. You still have to live on earth with these people. Even once the Palestinians are done being slaughtered and murdered, whoever is left still has to share the earth and still has to share space with Israel, even under the belief and idea that nothing is ever going to happen to Israel. The indigenous natives still had to exist. And I'm making a point with this, but let me finish with my examples. This is like my second to last one, or second to third last. The indigenous natives still have to live not only with the idea of what happened to them, but live in a physical remnant, constantly manifesting and showing them their humiliation and their defeat. Likewise, does the former slave have to constantly not only live with his oppressor, but is still subjected to the exact same sodomy, the exact same bedwenching, the exact same brutalities and beatings of public display, filmed publicly now and shown everywhere, and still have their existence, and still have the reality denied, because the existence of the reality and the existence of their truth defies the illusion that these people have for themselves. And you can either live in that delusion with them all, and that delusion is going to get you through your day. That delusion is going to get you through your career. That delusion is going to get you through interactions with the police. Delusion is going to allow you to go to surgery and pretend that surgeons aren't psychopaths or racists. That delusion is going to allow you to see your husband or see your kids go to prison and go to jail, and you don't have to blame yourself because they were just black. You are constantly going to be able to live in this world in which white people are not culpable for anything, and white people aren't as bad as you think as you think they are, and white people are just misunderstood, and well, he's just human too. Humans make mistakes. Because if you told yourself the truth and you allowed yourself to see the truth of white people, which isn't a country, that's a choice. You have a choice to be white. You have a choice to be black. That's a choice. It's not real. It might be forced upon you, but it's not real. And he allows you to see how evil these white people really are. Because their lack of accountability and the lack of justice is really at the behest of the families and friends of the victims. Constantly forgiving, constantly giving amends, constantly accepting white validation and white tears. And, some people sue. They might accept the fiscal and financial rewards that come with it too, but they print money, it has no real value. A televised apology for racism has a lot of value. People call a lot of this stuff pandering, but a change of behavior is not pandering. A drastic change in attitude and behavior would solve the problem and solve the situation. Not a constant apology, not constant deflection, not constant denial. But these people are living in a state in which, if they really saw reality, the way that I see it at least, I can't speak for you watching this video, but if they saw the world the way that I saw it through the lens that I'm in, they would probably they would be absolutely fucking horrid and terrified of these people. You wouldn't pretend like there's something that they're not. You wouldn't try to seek their validation. Some of them are cool. depending if they're European or white, but these white people, they're evil, man. The people that validate what they do, they're evil, man. Any person who thinks that they're superior to you is an evil human being. I've met doctors and lawyers that could share space with me, share a drink with me, share a hot tub with me. We go for a hike, we go for a jog. We can be human together. We can be at the same level and do our thing and have a conversation and be friends. People who try to use their status or position or some kind of resource over you to oppress you and mistreat you is an evil human being. There's something deeply psychologically wrong with that. And that's one thing. It's like an alcoholic. Someone who's addicted to alcohol and does horrible things when they're drinking, that's its own problem. That's an issue. So let me say that these racist white supremacists are an issue. They are a major issue. But the people who keep advocating for them and keep defending them and keep denying their existence and keep denying their actions and keep denying a racial implication, despite literally centuries of laws and policies created to expand America. There were people already living here. They needed people to work here. And they still have the same views and attitudes towards black people and immigrants to this day. When people are going through this, it's because they're in the sunken state. They are in a deep sense, and cognitive dissonance just is not, it's deeper than cognitive dissonance. It's different than a confirmation bias. These people are in such a deep state of delusion. They have to view the victims as just everything that happens to these victims is justified. Because it has not happened to them yet, and they still have to live with these people. They still have to deal with this person. So even if you die, even if you get arrested, that person who just got murdered by the police can't just break down screaming and crying and shooting at the police. They have to, okay, yeah, well, I understand it. It's, yeah. And then they handle the rest in court. Because you're dealing with people who had to lie to the entire planet, trick, deceive, manipulate, extort, basically mafioso tactics. The mafia basically took over America. They tried to stop the bootlegging. They tried to stop. So they entered the police force, they entered the military, they entered the hospital, they entered every facet of government, and they took over. And, right, this may not be a systemic, issue post-1960s, post-civil rights movement, but you are still dealing with a de jure, de facto, racist white supremacist, racist white nationalist culture, a tacit understanding and perspective of the world through the lens of racist white supremacists on the exact same soil in which all these atrocities and crimes against humanity were committed. So you either have people who are completely miseducated and they've never gained a formal education in this, or they were indoctrinated and brainwashed to not know the truth, to replace the truth with a different narrative, so when they came into contact with the truth, they would have a competing narrative that they got an A+ on, so they feel like an authority. But the answers were fake. The test was fake. The knowledge was fake. And there was more focus on making you a good citizen who is able to function and live in this country rather than tell you the truth like a child. You tell your child certain things. Well, you shouldn't. I'm going to give you that too. That's not really good parenting. But when I was a kid, I would say I would have to be told, or I would be told, I don't know if I would have to be told these things, but I would be told certain things or have certain information withheld from me, and it was deemed for my benefit, you know? If you see the reaction of what you tell a child, the reasoning why and understanding why something is being done, then this child is now capable of critical thinking because they now have the how, the scientific understanding, but they also now have the why, the philosophical existential understanding. And now they can think critically. They can experiment with thoughts, they can experiment with ideas, and they can heavily question and scrutinize ideas. But if you withhold information so that they cannot form their own perspective, they only have your perspective, and only your perspective is right. And even if they don't agree with you, even if they don't see things eye to eye with you, they will still maintain control. Because it's not about truth for them. It's not about money for them. They print money every day. It's about control. In America, these people are about 50% or so of the population. On planet Earth, they are not. So they will never be able to have world domination. It's impossible. They did not spend enough time on the map cultivating their own society. They spent their entire time trying to take over other people's society. So I don't know if you ever played Civilization, but simply because you took over someone's society, it does not mean that there's not another society that's not going to come and take you out. And if you are going towards a domination victory, it is a very costly, very exhaustive process that is going to absorb and take up the majority of your resources. So you have to really commit to the strategy. It's not something you can ever pull back away from, but it's sadly also something that you can't just switch to another mode of winning the game. You just have to give up and start trying to build your own civilization, and that's not what they've done. All they know is being a Viking. And you're expecting them to be something that they're not because of propaganda, because of the media, because they told you that they're not. But you're listening to people's words, you're not listening to their actions, you're not looking at exactly who they are and trying to see them for who they show you that they are, who they say that they are. You're trying to reinvent what being white is because you want to be white. Because you just want this to stop happening to you. You just want your kids to live in peace. So you're willing to do or say anything like a hostage for the safety of your family, for your own safety. But that's what you are. You're a hostage. You're a prisoner of war. And you either have to think at that point like a field nigger or a house nigger because they need to control your perspective. And if they can control your perspective by being man or being a woman, being masculine or being feminine, you can't break free because they're constantly going to control what your perspective of being a man is now. They can constantly control what being a woman is for you now. And then what? You're constantly living for their validation all over again. So maybe not necessarily to the Trump guy's perspective, are these people consciously, actively meaning to be completely fucking racist? It's how they've been raised for centuries now. It's how they've been raised for millennia now. And not only do they not see anything wrong with it, they say it makes them the best. They say it makes them the best. So it is what it is. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. But man, I really wish it wasn't. Peace, family.